Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships. So we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashley.
And welcome back to the Girls Ask Guys show. Today, we are going to show you and give you practical advice that you can follow when messaging or texting somebody without coming off all kinds of annoying. You get caught up in that go nowhere conversation with somebody, we have an answer for you. They aren't texting you back. We got an answer for you. And that is what we're going to be covering today.
Yes, it's going to be really fun because texting has sort of surpassed calling and means of communication. I mean, people would rather send you a message on Snapchat than call you. So I assume that most people who are engaged in the world of electronics these days are actually texting. And it gets really murky sometimes, especially when you meet somebody. So let's see. What's the first question?
The first thing that I came across was they are not texting me back, which is one of those, you kind of have to be understanding with this kind of stuff, especially if you're sitting there and you're in a conversation and it's taking them 20 minutes to reply back to you. I have literally fallen asleep waiting for a reply, and I'll wake up the next morning and there's the reply, and I'm like, oh shit, that was sent 7 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of stuff happens, or they're at work, or they're busy, or they're
decompressing.
Yeah, people have long days, and sometimes they forget to, oh shit, because I actually have one right now. It's sitting in my phone, and I haven't replied back to it. But today's been a crazy fucking day for me. So
yeah, I mean, that's very important to think about when you grasp the idea of, hey, we're entering into this relationship, and not necessarily a dating relationship, but just a communication relationship, and we're starting to get to know each other. You don't know each other's schedule as if you were, friends for a very long time, where some of my friends, I can tell you exactly what they're doing at this moment. I know the exact time to text them. But when you just meet somebody, you kind of have to play it by ear and respond when you can.
Yeah. And you can follow up with maybe one text if a great deal of time has passed, say 2-3 hours. Just throwing that number out there. I'm not saying wait 2 to 3 hours and then send them something. It's not what I'm saying. But we want to avoid blowing up their phone by sending them text after text after text after text. Either you're going to come off as being extremely creepy or very, very clingy, and it's going to be counterproductive. So don't do it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and everybody's text etiquette is different. So keep that in mind as well.
When you think about text etiquette, the thing is, if you don't know someone's schedule, if you don't know who they are, I'm always on the rule of, text back when you can, when they text you back. Don't be the person who's always responding right away. You still have a life too. So when you text them back, or if it's been a few hours when they text you back, just go about your daily life and check your phone when you can. If you're one of those people who's constantly on your phone, of course text back. Don't stop texting back quickly because you feel like you're coming off as desperate either. Be yourself the same way you would be in a conversation.
And if you have 2 texts that have gone unresponded to, leave it alone. Use that as your general rule of thumb. One text, they don't respond. You do a follow-up text, they don't respond. Then leave it alone. They're probably too busy or something is going on, and they just don't have time. Especially if you have those big, huge conversations, you have no more characters left kind of texts. Just leave those alone. Just let it be. You kind of want to step back. Let the whole thing, especially if you're in a new relationship, let it build up. Let the chase happen.
And just be cognizant of their time. Be cognizant of your time. I always see people think, I guess people always think that they're not responding. They must not want to talk to me anymore, or any of that stuff. Don't take it personally. You're texting. If you guys set up a date and they don't show up, maybe take that a little personally. But when it comes to texting, people are busy. Some people have kids. Some people have, demanding jobs. Some people just sit in an office all day. If you can see that that's where the conversation's going, and it's not right with you and you don't, you can't respect their time and boundaries, then maybe it's time for you to move on. It's not necessarily them. If you know someone has a demanding job and you know somebody can't be on their phone 24/7 and you're constantly expecting them to be, then it's more of you than it is them.
And let's say that they haven't responded back to your text. Okay, so what do you do with that when they do respond back?
You respond back. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where, oh, they've taken a week to get back to me. Should I ignore them? If you want to, but if they've done nothing to you and it just took them a week to get back to you, then it just took them a week to get back to you.
The way that I look at it is just make light of the fact that they didn't respond back to you immediately or within a reasonable amount of time. Let's say it took them a day or two before they got back to you. Just kind of let it go. Don't get mad. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. You can play a little bit of passive aggressive there, but really just want to make light of it and move past it.
Yeah, or maybe ask if they're okay. If it's been a week and they haven't responded and they're normally quick responders, say, hey, is everything going all right? Can I help you with something? What's going on? Because sometimes things happen.
Yeah, and actually, here's a big one. This is going to throw some people for a loop. If you are texting or if you're using your phone to actually message people, that's what a lot of people do. How about this? Dial the number. Call them. Get a little bit fearless and actually call somebody. For some reason, people have an anxiety about talking on the phone. I was doing a lot of running around today. I don't like calling. I don't like texting. If they live close enough to me or if their office is close enough to me, I'm taking care of it in person.
Right.
I was actually told today, oh, you can just send me a photo of the paper. Fuck that. I'm coming to you in person. I'm going to put it in your hand.
Well, that's a good way to think about it. Also, you want to consider, if you pick up the phone and they say, hey, I can't talk right now, I'm super busy. Oh, cool. Call me back when you get a chance. Put that out there too, that we are able to speak on the phone, because I'm not sure where that anxiety for the phone comes from. Some people, it's because they don't like the way their voice sounds. Some people are worried they're going to think, oh, we're going to run out of things to talk about, or it's going to be awkward. But once you start opening up that, hey, call me whenever kind of thing, and if I can't answer, I'll get back to you, it opens up another line of communication. So all you're doing is adding additional communication, which helps everything. Because then you guys say, you know what? I'm sick of texting today. I'm going to pick up the phone and call you. You know what? I'm sick of calling. I'm just going to text you. Is that cool? And it helps. It helps. Every aspect of a good communication line will help you in that relationship, whether you guys are dating or you're just friends. So to me, of course, pick up the phone.
It also shows a level of confidence that a lot of people don't have. So if they do the majority of their communication over DMs and Messenger and text and stuff like that, and you're just like, no, fuck this, I got their phone number.
Right.
I mean, on some phone, at least on mine, if I have somebody's phone number, I can just push the number and it dials for me. I don't even have to type in the number. Mm-hmm. One push versus going back and forth over a bunch of little tiny EB letters, which is easier. Mm-hmm. But it just shows a level of confidence that you have to actually go after what you want.
Right. And sometimes that fearlessness breaks a barrier. It shows, okay, they're serious about me. Because while, yes, you might have been on the fence about them, they might have been on the fence about you. And that shows them, hey, this person actually fucking cares about me. And hey, this person does want to pursue something. And that can reassure a relationship. Obviously, it's up to both of you to take that, that next step. But if you can both see that this is ridiculous, we're texting back and forth, we're waiting a week to talk to each other. If one of you can see that, hey, you know what, I'm just going to pick up the damn phone, it can really change the course and the trajectory for both of you.
I want to actually put these earbuds in my ear and use them for talking instead of just listening to music. As far as I know, they all come with a microphone built in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you open that doorway to where, hey, you can call versus just send me a DM or a text, then you give that permission. So then they start calling you and you actually hear their voice and there's no misinterpretation over what the fuck was being said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's always that.
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. And that's one of the biggest problems with texting is that everything can get misconstrued. I mean, everything. And it could be like you send something sarcastically and the person's going to take it very seriously. Next thing you know, you guys are not as close as you thought you would be at that point. And that happens to a lot of people because you don't pick up the phone. And when you finally get that courage to say, you know what, screw this, I'm going to call you, your texting relationship is going to get better because they know who you are. They've heard your voice. They hear your inflection. They hear your tone. They hear everything you're trying to convey. So when they read it, they understand what you mean.
Exactly. I was answering questions all week about, what does this emoji mean? What does it mean when they do this and this? And well, I've had people send me that combination of emojis before, but I know them, so I know the intent behind it. But if you look over here, just do a Google search for this, and oh, well, it can mean this and this and this and this and this. There's thousands of different interpretations.
Right.
But I know that person because I've talked to them. I understand them. I know their intent behind it.
Exactly. And there's a security in that. There's a security in understanding what people mean and leaving it up to the cloud. And I love to say that because I think the cloud is the most ridiculous idea in the entire world. Yeah. You know, leaving it up to the cloud is just so, it's so irresponsible, especially if you're both adults. Because when it comes to that texting and that communication, you're both missing out on something important and you're both okay with that because you're too nervous. That's irresponsible. And it shows that you aren't ready for the type of relationship that you're pursuing.
Exactly. And the other problem that a lot of people come across, especially with messaging and text and stuff like that, because right now I'm actually mentoring somebody on building a podcast and just what we have learned going through it. Well, I ask them, so how does your website look? Interesting. Okay, that gives me nothing to fucking work with.
Right. It's interesting. Like how?
Yeah, I don't even know your web address. What does your website look like? Give me the address so I can go look at it. But I've done this with girls that I was dating. So, what do you have planned for tomorrow? Usual work. What am I supposed to do with that?
Okay. Like I always, if someone sends me a dead response, I always go, okay. And they send a question mark and I'll say, I don't know what to say. And it's really fun if you can sort of agree that this is a stalemate and start over and say something wild. And I would say, don't be obnoxious, but just, stalemate it and say, okay. And then it's, well, what are you doing today? And then you have to be that person. Cause sometimes, like we said in the earlier part, people are tired. Sometimes people have long days. Sometimes people don't want to talk as much, but they want to talk to you. And so they're going to give you one-word answers that are very stale. And sometimes it's up to you to carry the conversation. That doesn't mean every time. But if it's a conversation worth having, you want to show them that, well, yes, I understand this is going nowhere. I'm willing to transition into something different.
Some of the ways that you can actually avoid doing that is by asking very pointed types of questions and go a little bit in depth with it. And usually when I give an in-depth type question, I get an in-depth type return. Mm-hmm. And Ashley has mentioned this on several shows. You send a message to the show and she replies, you're going to get like a one-sentence answer. Yep. And with me, it's going to be like 15 paragraphs.
Yeah, true. And it's not even that I don't like you guys. I love you guys. John can tell you I love you guys more than anything. What it is that I'm very short when it comes to texting. If you get me on the phone, we can talk for hours. But I just like to get short and sweet to the point. John wants to make sure you guys know that you're heard. It's two different ways of communication, but we open it up for you and we make sure that you know that we've received the message and that we've listened to you.
And for me, I like to know that I've really left no stone unturned. So that's why I go so far in depth. And sometimes it's annoying to people. The only thing I have to say to that is deal with it. Ask Ashley to reply, not me. This is for Ashley, not John.
Exactly. And that's called communication. That's called communicating understanding. If you guys want a super long answer, say, hey, John, I have a question. If you say, Ashley, am I doing this right? Yes or no? I will literally be like, no or yes. And if you say why, I'll probably give you about a sentence. That's like a giant moral summary. But if you want something in depth, if you want to look into it, and we're two different people. We have two different communication styles and they work really well together. But if you're looking for something specific, you got to ask one of us. Yeah. Because if it goes to the wrong person, unfortunately, you'll feel like we're not hearing you or we're overhearing you. You know what I mean?
And sometimes that's what you're going to be dealing with. But if you can keep giving those longer answers or those longer questions, hoping that they're going to bite on something that can actually start a longer conversation. But if
Absolutely.
you're constantly carrying everything, it's really going to be up to you. Yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm going to walk away. They're not interested. And it's going to be up to them to reinitiate.
That's what you have to do. If you're a carrier by nature, be cognizant of that. You know what I mean? Like, we're by two people who talk for 45 minutes basically a night, we're both carriers of conversation by nature. So we both have to be cognizant when it comes to having the conversation. And sometimes one of us, like, sometimes I ramble, sometimes he rambles. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we both ramble, and we have to really be cognizant of how to communicate with somebody. Or sometimes it's something we don't know and we're short about it. So we have to really be cognizant of who we are and how we're communicating. So when you're texting someone and they're short, you say, hey, is everything okay? Or you say, hey, and you carry the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tennis game, I guess.
Yeah. And two people can't talk at the same time. Otherwise it becomes noise. So sometimes one person takes it, sometimes the other person takes it. But keep the conversation going, ask more pointed questions, and keep doing that until, well, pretty much you just get bored with it and you're like, fuck this, I'm out.
Basically.
Yeah.
And if you do it right, you never get bored.
Yeah, if you do it right, you'll never get bored. And really, that's why we say ask interesting questions that really make somebody think, because if they've never been asked that question before, they get intrigued with trying to provide like the smartest, most whimsical, funny, whatever, wacky answer they can.
I mean, people want to talk to you.
Yeah, one of my favorites is, well, besides our superpower, but one of my favorites is, if you were the emperor of a country, what laws would you have?
See, this is an amazing question, because I have 20 laws off the bat that I'm ready to speak. I'm ready to explain. And when people ask you questions like that, those open-ended and very pointed questions, what you want to do is, when they start answering, so my first thing would be, I would literally make shoes illegal, because I hate wearing shoes. And if you choose to wear shoes, it has to be in your house. And if I, the emperor, see those shoes, I'm going to laser beam them off of your feet, because the only reality where I'm an emperor is one with laser beam. And then once I answer that, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous, it's your turn to kind of, say, well, I would do this, or you guys kind of mosey on down into conversation road.
Yeah. And it's one of those that it really, because I asked my mom that the other day, she's like, wow, that's an amazing question. And she's like, I've been around for 70 plus years. I've never been asked that question ever. That's a fun question. So we talked about running our own country for a good hour and a half.
It works.
The other really common thing that comes up, and I'm not sure why this comes up, but I have encountered it coaching a couple of people, that as soon as they set the date, whether they set it via text, message, or in person, okay, now what?
Oh my gosh, dude. That is so true. Like, people will set a date like, oh, we're going to meet up on Wednesday. You make that plan like the Tuesday before, and you guys don't talk until that Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And then they sit there and they show up on Wednesday, and they're just like, why'd they bail? They didn't even show up. Well, you haven't talked to them for a week.
Right. You assume if someone doesn't talk to you for 6 days, they're not interested. And the thing is, when you set that date, it's a goal. It's not like okay, we're cool. Like it's a pause in the game. You know what I mean? It's not time out once you set the date. It's literally game on. This is where you guys are talking to each other. You're getting to know each other, so that when you see each other, you can do your awkward hug that everyone does when they first meet. It's very awkward. It's an awkward, like, hi, it's so nice to see you. But then you just kind of jump into those conversations that you lead off with. And if you do it right, up until the time you guys see each other, you guys can send messages like, getting ready, super pumped. I do that all the time. Or, things like that. It's not time out when you guys set a date. It's game on. It's like bases loaded, 7th inning, end of baseball game, whatever that means.
Yeah. They're just waiting for that, field goal to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you keep the conversations going. Hey, looking forward to Wednesday. How's your day going? But I know people and they're like, well, I don't want to keep talking with them because we're going to run out of things to say. are you hoping to get married to this person? Are you going to run out of stuff to say on your wedding nights?
It's a conversation. There are endless. As long as you can think of a word, there is a conversation to be had. Words are endless. I mean, yes, we have a dictionary with a finite number of words, but guess what? You can make some shit up.
One of the most fun conversations that I actually had with a girl, and this we actually did because I was literally running out of shit to talk about. Hard to imagine, but yes, it did happen. I was like, fuck, where do we go from here? So I came up with, okay, we're going to write our own fairy tale, our own little book. And we came up with the characters. I gave her, like, okay, what kind of scenario, where should this take place? So I came up with my side of the story, and then she came up with her side of the story, and then I came up with a response to that side. It became like this endless thing, and it carried over into text. We did it via email. It was all over the damn place.
Yes, a long-running joke is important.
It actually opened up all kinds of stuff where, did that really happen to you? Uh-huh. So I learned stuff about her. I learned what she liked. I learned what she didn't like, without getting too far into detail. Yeah, keep texting.
That's it. Keep talking. Keep the conversation going.
Yeah, you can build that sexual tension up and the anticipation. Talk about whatever, but don't stop. It doesn't have to be as frequent.
Right. I was going to say, there's a caveat to this. If they are clearly not into this conversation at all, where it's like, hey, listen, you got to stop bothering me. Like, don't be like, well, Ashley and John said never give up. Okay, there's the time to throw in the towel. And when the person is clearly not interested and they have no desire to be a part of your, honestly, at that point, one-way relationship.
Yeah, that's actually like the next part, when the conversation goes stale and you're grasping at straws. And they're just not into it. You were talking about it and the text kind of stopped. Then they give you one-word answers. And then it's just like, they just leave you hanging. They like ghost you. They're not replying. So now we're all the way back at the very beginning. They're not replying.
Right. And if they're not replying, I hate to break it to you guys, but it's okay to walk away. Not every relationship is going to be a good relationship. And sometimes you hit and you miss. And that's fine. It's not even sometimes what you've done. Yeah. Sometimes people just aren't compatible. And I know in my previous dating history, I have tried to force relationships that I really believed would work. And it just ended up with heartbreak.
And a conversation that has gone stale, it's kind of disgusting, but it's really the easiest way to like visually implant it in your head. It's kind of like a scab. You keep picking at it, and all it's going to do is scar.
Right.
Leave it alone. It'll heal by itself. Change the topic. Move on to something else.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I've done that where we've talked about something and it's gone stale, and it's just like, I've got nothing else on this. So I go into my bag of tricks and I pull out this question nobody's ever heard of. If you own a country, and what laws would you have?
Right. And it's so easy, guys. And I know we say that all the time, and I know it kind of sounds like we're assholes when we say that. You know what I mean? Like, good, it's too easy. But it really is. Once you get into the swing of it, though, you'll see what we mean. Sometimes things, you're grasping at straws. Sometimes they're boards. It all comes down to you. Are you willing to carry this on? You know? And if you are, what are you willing to talk about? Countries,
traveling, movies, music, television shows, current events. If you're brave enough, politics, I kind of stay away from it. There's all kinds of stuff out there. If you're big into video games and they like video games as well, talk about some of the new releases coming up, or what, if you're more computer based or console based. There's all kinds of stuff we can talk about. Which console is better than the other one? Nintendo ought to just like wrap it up and call it a decade.
No. We have a Switch, my friend. Have you not played the Switch yet?
No, actually, I'm tired of Nintendo rehashing characters from the 1980s. I don't think they've actually come out with anything new. I mean, it's still Mario and Donkey Kong. I was like,
it ain't broke, man.
I'll give them this. They have figured out ways of like reinventing the character, but I still remember the original Mario Brothers. Come on, give me something different.
Still out too.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, that's basically what Nintendo's model. Listen, we're not going to change the games. We're going to change the console. There's more money in the console than there is in the games, dude. But I also am a huge Nintendo person. Anyway, back to texting. Sorry. It's really kind of it's so delicate though when you really think about the concept of sending a message, and it does take a lot of courage. Especially when you first meet someone, you know what I mean? Like when you're on a dating app, let's say, and they give you their number, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What do I say?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember switching off of Instagram DM, and they're just like, "Hey, just send me an email." Then it went from email to phone number, and I was like, "Oh shit, okay." So, and it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this now? Okay, let's drum up some courage here. If you need to, go get some liquid courage. Take a little bit of it, not a whole lot.
Yeah. Liquid courage will have you sending naked pictures. One of my exes, fun fact, the first text I ever got was a naked picture, and that relationship did not last very long, but it was wonderful while it was happening.
Oh, well, so much for the chase there. Next.
Right, got it. Like, oh my gosh. Like, seriously, do not just send a naked. Oh yeah, that's another thing if you're doing the texting thing. Guys, I know it's a thing for you. You think I'm going to show her my pee-pee and she's going to fall in love with me. Do not.
No, actually, your pee-pee is bigger in your head than it is in real life, people.
Much bigger in your head. Okay, and let me tell you, them pictures don't lie. And like, I'm not one to body shame. You are born how God made you.
The camera really doesn't add 10 pounds, trust me.
It definitely don't add 10 inches, I'll tell you that. Like, I am not one to body shame. You are who God made you, and your little pee-pee is your little pee-pee. But when a girl says, here is my number, what she means is, I would like to have a conversation with words. She does not mean, let me see you naked.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
Not quite.
And actually, you should really not get there, because there is a website out there. I'm not gonna mention the site because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not sure if from what side of the web it's on. So, but there is a complete site out there. And all it has is the D-pics out there and women's comments on them. And trust me, there's a little site out there for that. And
there's a little Facebook group too.
Yeah, and guys, trust me. If you want a good laugh, go out there. But hopefully while you're laughing, you don't run across your own.
Woo! Okay, to be fair, there's one for women too. And we found out about it in high school because a couple of my friends were very confident in their relationships and thought, oh, we're in high school. This man's never going to leave me. And he would definitely never leak my nudes. So guess what? Backfired. So there's websites for both sexes on there. And hey, listen, I am a firm believer that if someone sends you those kind of pictures, you ask if you can keep them or you delete them. But also, once again, that's something you do, I think, when you establish a relationship. You don't do it right off the bat because it can be either A, a turnoff, B, just creepy as shit, or C, it's going to really backfire because...
Yeah. I mean, because, well, where I work, we tend to do thorough background investigations on new hires. And a lot of companies actually do that, but we are like required to do that because it saves us from lawsuits. But yeah, right. Type somebody's name in and you actually start digging and digging and digging. And we have programs that can actually go a little bit further than like normal programs.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, let's see what she's been up to. Whoa, yeah, she's not working here.
Damn.
That's 5 years old. Don't matter. If we can find it, somebody else can find it.
And not only that, I mean, especially where you were, if they can find it, they can literally use it as leverage against you, and you are screwed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
With that in mind, the best thing to take into account is that you are one half of the conversation. You are not the whole conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, keep that as part of the equation. If you get busy, realize they can get just as busy.
People get stressed. People get tired. People are people. And you have to consider that when even if you start to like somebody, sometimes we have this thing where we idealize them, we put them on this, pedestal, and we think that they are infallible. And so when you're texting them and you're doing all those things, you see a strong person. You know what I mean? You see somebody who's strong. You see somebody who has it all together. You see all these things. But what you don't know is sometimes that they are literally crumbling on the inside. And them not replying isn't because they don't like you. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's them trying to get themselves together. So you have to also, once again, just take everything into consideration when it comes to, whether they're replying back or things are going stale. And that doesn't mean every time things are going stale, you have to really dig a deep dive into their life.
No, I just actually changed it up. And whenever I'm using Messenger or any kind of DM or texting or anything, really what I am trying to do is instigate some interest and some intrigue, showing that I have interest in them and also generating them having interest back in me.
Right. It's a two-way thing, like I'm sure you said. And when you think about it, if they're not looking for that right now, especially if you guys are talking about what are you looking for and you guys are in that part of the conversation, they say, I'm just looking for a friend. Don't get upset when they treat you like a friend via text message. If they say, I'm looking to get married tomorrow. Don't be surprised if they're literally calling caterers and texting you numbers for wedding cake tastings. You have to establish that. You have to understand where you guys are. And as you do that, the conversation will open up more and you have that variety and range of things to talk about.
Exactly. And there's actually, I'm probably going to try and do this on the next show. It really depends on how things shake out, because we do have some guests that we're trying to line up and we're just trying to settle on some times. We have there's a way of actually generating a way of having that person desire for you to touch them. It's a whole technique thing, but I can cover that. But it starts with how you message.
Mm-hmm.
Generating that interest, generating that intrigue, having them become more interested and wanting to meet you and all that other stuff.
And when you get them to the point where they do want to meet you, and like we said, no stalemate, but afterwards, even after you guys go out and you guys drop each other off or however the kids are doing it these days, you make sure you say had a great night, can't wait to see you again. And sometimes they won't reply because they didn't have a great night.
Yeah, I mean, I've left dates and I wasn't even back inside my car yet. It's like I walked them up to their front door and we did the whole good night thing. Sometimes a hug, sometimes kiss, sometimes just like slap on the shoulder and see you tomorrow. Sure, I mean, it just depends on it just depends on the relationship that we have. And I'm not even back down to my car yet, and I'm already receiving a text. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, or call me when you get home, or whatever. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
And sometimes it might be the next morning.
Yes.
Probably the weirdest one is if you actually get into those sexting conversations. Yeah, you actually fall asleep halfway through because it's been a half hour. You wake up and you're like, oh shit. Now what do I do with this?
Yes. Oh boy, I feel like I've been in a never-ending sexting conversation for the last year. And yes, people do fall asleep. And it's really funny actually. And when that happens, if you're in that sexting conversation and someone falls asleep, don't get all butthurt about it. Just laugh. It's really funny. It's something you guys can talk about tomorrow. Don't take them falling asleep, or don't take a conversation ending as a finite.
Or you have no reply after you just sent something really, really hot, and
right.
Oh shit! Did I just piss them off? And you're failing to look at the clock and realize it's 3:00 in the morning.
Right, like it's literally 5:30 in the morning. Like they have to wake up at 6:00, and you're like, why aren't they texting back? It's literally because they just had to hop in the shower and get to work, and they haven't slept. It's very true. Be cognizant of everything.
With those kind of conversations where you wake up in the morning and you're looking at it and you're like, oh shit, I probably should have replied to that. Just do a quick apology. Sorry, fell asleep. That was really hot. Send that, and then do a follow-up. Change the topic. So what do you have planned for today?
Or or do what I do. I just keep the conversation going as if nothing ever happened in the last 4 hours. I just keep going all day long. I don't care if it's daytime. I don't care if you're at work. If I want to say dirty things, I'm going to say them. And that can be, a thing. If they say, haha, I'm at work, then change the subject, obviously, because they're not going to be like,
not safe for work.
But, right. Exactly. NSFW, guys. But if they're continuing it, you continue it. It can be a very funny thing to do. Sometimes when you're at work, you're bored. You're like, oh, this is...
Yeah, I wish I could have my phone at work, but I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. And so usually it's like, we'll be in this conversation, and I'll when I'm driving, I'll use voice to text. So I just say what I want. And it actually freaks them out sometimes because they're like taking 10, 15 minutes to type everything in. And I'm just like, da-da-da-da-da, send, poof. They get this mountain of text, and it's just like 3 seconds later, how the fuck are you doing that? But I'll get to work, and I'm like, I got to go.
Yep.
I'm at work, can't take the phone in. So pause.
Right. Pause.
Yeah, and I come back and they're like, pause hell. Reply to this when you get a chance.
If you're able to, be smart enough to communicate your schedule ahead of time. Like, hey, I'm going into work, I'll talk to you on lunch, or hey, I'm leaving lunch, I'll talk to you when I get out of work, or that kind of thing. Just give them that reassurance also, because it does help. Sometimes I get it, you're too busy to reply, but if you are able to give them that heads up, it helps a lot. It gives them that peace of mind. It lessens that anxiety for them. They know that, okay, well, I can't expect a response anytime soon, so they're cool. But I'm not saying do it every time. You obviously have no obligation to anybody to constantly update your schedule. But if you can, it's polite to do that.
For some reason, people have this ridiculous rule where I have to take so much time before replying. Bullshit. If you're next to your phone and you can do it, do it.
What's that woman's name who made that ridiculous ass book? The idiot?
Tell you the truth, I pretty much forgot them because they're not worth remembering. Started with an E.
Yeah, L or something? Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, Ellen Fain and Sherry Schneider.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Never respond. Never call them. Bullshit.
10 minutes.
Only keep your phone calls to 10 minutes. Bullshit. You want to talk for 4.5 hours because your guys are having fun or having a whole phone sex conversation thing. I don't know about you guys, but 10-minute sex is not. It's not going to happen.
10-minute sex is convenient. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be the best. It's convenient if you only have 10 minutes. But if you have the rest of the night, why would you do that? And that's where the rules, I honestly say, obviously, throw that book away and burn it if you read it and you swear by it. Because if you have all night to talk to somebody, don't limit it to 10 minutes of texting or calling or sex, whatever you're doing. Yeah. Take that time. You're an adult. You don't get that time often, so take it and enjoy each other's company. And you won't run out of things to talk about. If you guys really love to talk to each other, if you really enjoy each other, even if things get a little stale, someone's going to think of something to say, and boom, you're right back in it.
I mean, there's no reason. Texting and messaging and all this other stuff, you're not limited to 158 characters. You can go longer. I mean, actually, I get annoyed when I'm limited to 1,000 characters. That kind of pisses me off. If you want to talk, talk. There's no reason why you can't.
You are free to talk. What you are not free to do is expect someone to make all the time in the world for you. What you're not free to do is allow or manipulate someone into thinking that they only have a certain amount of time to talk to you, and so they have to be available when you're available. Because that's what those rules basically say is you're going to manipulate this person into you can only talk to me when I want to talk to you. And that is not healthy and it's not okay. And when you do things like that, you make someone feel like they don't matter.
Be somewhat cognizant of the fact that you don't want to appear desperate. I mean, don't limit yourself because you're scared of looking desperate. But at the same time, don't send so many conversations. I mean, if you're having those deep conversations and you're running out of character limits, that's one thing. But if it's like these short little, how you doing? Doing fine. Meet up later. Sure. That kind of thing. Don't blow their phone up.
Right.
It's okay to disappear for a little bit. Just don't make it like 5-6 days when you obviously have the opportunity to reply.
Exactly. Continue living your life and continue to respond to them. You can sort of mesh the two together. You know, you let's say you usually go for a jog around 5 o'clock and that person gets out of work at 5. Well, don't stop jogging. Say, okay, cool. My jog's usually about half an hour. I'll call you around 5:30 or I'll text you around 5:30. But don't alter your life in a way where what you were doing before to stay healthy or what you were doing before to keep you busy is now something that disappears from your life because this person is available at 5 to talk.
Yeah. I mean, you want a little bit of that chase. We've discussed chase in the past. The chase happens on both sides. Let him or her chase you, and then you turn it over and you chase them. It's that whole attraction thing. You got to keep the attraction going both ways.
Yeah.
And that's where that intrigue. Yeah, it's that intrigue. It's building that that want, that sexual vibe. That's all of that, all wrapped up into one. Yeah.
It's very, if you get confused, and I think there's a very simple basic guide to texting and messaging and returning conversations. Number 1, did you get a text message? Oh, yes, I did.
Number 2, did I reply?
Reply. You know what I mean? Like, read it, reply. Read it, reply. And it doesn't mean alter your life. Your whole world doesn't have to revolve around your cell phone. But you get the text, you reply, you guys keep having that conversation. Eventually, you guys say, you know what, this is really fun. I enjoyed talking to you. Would you like to meet up? Sure, let's do it this weekend. Cool. And then you continue the conversation as if you guys were having a conversation.
Exactly. There's so many rules and this and that and all this other bullshit that's coming in. I actually had a question earlier from a 14-year-old girl who's like, my friends are making fun of me because I don't have a boyfriend and I've never kissed anybody. What should I do? My advice to her was, you live your life on your terms. You be authentic to you. Fuck what they say. I didn't tell her fuck what they say.
Right.
I was like,
God damn them.
You do what makes you happy. And they can either come along for the ride or not.
Even if you can either not kiss a guy or you kiss too many guys. Either way.
Well, you're not normal. Okay, explain to me what normal is, and then I'll give you an answer as to what normal is supposed to be.
Yes, I would love to figure that out. As soon as you have the correct definition of normal, please send it to us and address it to both of us so that we can read it out loud and see exactly what you mean, because that doesn't exist, just so you guys know. Mm-hmm. If you have a kid who's being made fun of because they're not texting boys or they're not their children, allow them and tell them, listen, you don't have to do any of that shit. If you don't want a boyfriend, don't have a boyfriend. And that goes for adults too. If your friends are all getting married and you're like, you know what, I'd rather travel. Fucking travel.
Fucking travel. That's my thing. Live your life according to your terms. That person is not there to complete me. I fucking hate that line. You complete me. What?
No, it's like a Venn diagram.
I want you here to enhance my life, not complete my life.
Right. So two circles. We meet in the middle and, Venn diagram. One is you, the other is them, and in the middle it's us.
That's our show. So if you are confused on what to do when somebody is texting, DMing, messaging, or whatever social platform you're on calls it, I don't know, snapping. I'm not on Snapchat.
TikToking each other. You guys are TikTok.
Yeah. So, if you're doing all that stuff, then look, those are the broad categories. Those are the most common things people are asking about online. And a couple of questions that were actually sent directly to me saying, hey, can you answer this? Sure, okay. There you go. It's very simple. If you're looking into it, you're making it too damn complex. Get out of your head.
Yeah. Someone messages you, message him back.
Exactly.
Literally. And then just allow it to happen naturally. Like I said, refrain from body pictures and nothing weird, nothing too personal unless you guys are really getting into it. Just have a conversation like you would with a friend.
And if you don't know, should we get there? Should we get that personal? If you don't know what kind of relationship you're in, go to our website. We have a complete article that breaks everything down for you. This is the attraction part. This is the dating part. This is the we're exclusively dating part. Exclusively dating is when I start canceling everybody else out. I don't have any competition. You're it. I pick you. And then you have the whole commitment part. If you don't know what phase you're in, then all the sexy pics and all that stuff. Probably shouldn't be doing that.
No, if you're confused about where you stand with someone, they shouldn't see your body naked. That's just for me, personally.
I'm pretty much along with that. But you just remember there can be consequences to that. So other than that, that's our show.
Don't forget to rate, subscribe, write, comment, question, call, I guess, if you want. Text us. We'll text you back. We have a whole show on it. And just make sure you guys are dropping some love. We've gotten some ratings recently, and they are amazing. You guys are phenomenal people. Number one for supporting us through this whole thing. Thank you, guys.
We're starting to climb up the charts, and we really want to keep it going that direction. And we have no control of the charts. All of you people have control of the charts. So
we really want to just keep going up. So if you guys can tell a friend to listen, and not in your car while you're listening to us, listen separately. No, we're kidding. But seriously, yeah, we're climbing, and you guys have been nothing short of amazing. Always write to us if you have any questions. Remember, if you want a short answer, me. If you want like a real answer, John. And just keep it moving, guys.
If you really got a huge sticking point or anything, hey, we do have listeners come on the show.
Absolutely.
Don't worry about how you're going to sound or, somebody's going to recognize me. Trust me, you're not that famous.
Okay, yes, like.
Yeah, we're listened to all over the world. I think we're in 128 countries, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we're almost there.
We're famous in the Baltic. We're famous in Estonia, just so you guys know. That is my claim to fame these days. I'm like, well, we're like top 10 dating in Estonia, so where my Baltic people at? Like, that's what's up. Thanks, guys. But seriously, yeah, you're not that famous. If you want us to disguise your voice, we can. If you really are stuck on something and you need the help, get the help. That's one of the biggest things about what we talk about. Be fearless.
Yeah, be fearless. If you can't come on a show anonymously, if your name is David and you want to be called Ben, we'll call you Ben. Or if you're Stacy and you want to be called Bethany, we'll call you Bethany. So, it doesn't matter. And we can disguise your voice if you want, but come on.
No. Yeah, be serious. Unless you're like Kim Kardashian, in which case we're not going to disguise your voice because we want everyone to know that Kim Kardashian's on our show. But about everybody else, we got you.
Take a little bit of courage. If you can't be courageous with us, two people you're not going to see. Where a voice
you're not going to sleep with, I guarantee you that.
Oh. Yeah, I'll leave that out. But, if you can't be fearless with somebody that you just met who is just here to offer some words of wisdom, maybe point you in the right direction, hey, so be it. But how are you going to be courageous walking up to that guy or that girl at the bar or in the mall, at the club, in the grocery store? I filled up my car today. I carried on a full conversation with a girl at the next pump. I was like, hey, hi, how you doing? Nice glasses. There you go. That's all I said. Nice glasses. Started a full conversation. Got a number, walked away, and yeah, that's actually one of the texts that I have sitting in my phone right now that I probably should reply to.
Give it. Play it cool. I'm just kidding. I hate that saying. People are like, oh, play it cool, man. Like, what the fuck is so cool about ignoring somebody? But that's another rant for another day. Seriously, you guys are awesome. The show is phenomenal. It was a really good show. Anything else?
Nope, that's about it. We've got just a very short period of time, and that course that we have been talking about it's going to happen, people. It's just a monster load of work. And when you actually get into it, yeah, you're going to see just how much of a monster load of work it was.
Literally just book an appointment at your favorite movie. Just book an appointment. Like, rent the whole thing out, because you're going to be there for a while. No, but seriously, it's going to be wonderful. You guys we're leaving no stone unturned when it comes to dating. I would like to say by the time you finish the course, you're going to find your soulmate, but I can't make that promise. I would love to. But you'll know a lot more about yourself. I can't guarantee a husband
or a wife.
Right. But you'll know a lot more about yourself and what you want. So it'll be a lot easier when you get into that dating pool.
Exactly. And with that, we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.